Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag and drop fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
In just a matter of seconds, you're going to hear a classic episode of this show from back in the day when we called ourselves Movies We Like.
It took us a while to settle into the show's format, so you'll notice some differences as you listen to these episodes. For instance, it takes us a bit of time to actually get into the conversation about the movie. Things like that.
But we're still proud of the conversations about the movies themselves, and we think they're worth keeping in the library.
So enjoy these episodes from our back catalog. And you can become part of our Discord community, learn more about the show, and find out how you can become a supporting member at thenextreel.com.
So thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to The Next Reel. We appreciate your time and attention, and we hope you enjoy the show.
I feel like someone just stuck a needle in my head.
Those are the creepiest needles ever. Right?
The noise, too.
Drilling needles. Here's the problem, is that tomorrow morning, I'm fasting. I'm fasting right now. Because tomorrow morning I have to go in for a physical. And I don't like that.
No.
Misa, as they say, don't like that. And so I got to get the blood drawn and the probing and poking and prodding, and that's just not Right. And so now watching this movie tonight, it was with the spinning, drilling needles in the forehead,
right into the brain,
right into the brain. Oh, that sticks with you. It's pretty powerful. That's powerful imagery.
Yes.
What are we doing here? Do you want to do the thing?
Sure. So welcome to the next reel, everybody. We're here to talk about movies. We like watching movies and talking about movies, and we do it every week. And each week we pick a movie and we talk about it from top to bottom, from inside to out, and pretty much cover the whole gamut of the film. And yeah, that's pretty much what we do here on the show. We love hearing from everybody who's out there. So definitely, if you're out there, you can get in touch with us. Go to thenextreel.com, and you can find us on Facebook, The Next Reel, and you can shoot us an email. And what is the email address? I don't have the page open.
I could tell. You're just there's Andy in the woods, just looking at flowers and trees. Oh, look, a bird. You can write us at show@thenextreel.com. And you can also listen to the show live, thenextreel.com/live. There's a page that is available there that you can catch up with us while we're doing the show every Thursday night at 8:30. And let's see, the last thing on the list was the phone call. You should call us if you and leave us a voicemail if you're real serious about this stuff, if you're real serious. At 657-201-REAL, 657-201-7335, the heart of Anaheim.
That's right. See, you do it so much better than I do anyway.
It was that one time you said we spoil movies from, what was it? Anus to arse?
From Ed to Anus.
Ed
right?
to Anus. From anus to arse. From anus to anus. And that's what I get excited about that. I keep thinking you're going to bring that level of
I just wasn't ready.
Anatomical game to your intro.
I did it for baseball.
You did. You totally did.
Yeah, I had my little from first base to home plate.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
I hadn't prepared. I didn't realize I was up tonight. So.
Well, it was a noble effort. So we're gonna talk about this Dark City later on in our little exploration here. But I do want to mention one more thing in terms of current events this weekend on Saturday night. What time is it? 7:00? 7:30? 7:00?
8:30? Well, I guess, yeah. 8:30 my time.
When will all of us be together? Okay, 7:30 Pacific time, 8:30 if you're a Phoenician. We will be doing a live film board. We're going to be talking about the great... What's it called?
Ounces the Great.
Ounces the Great and Powerful.
Ounces the Great and Powerful, yeah. I think it's actually at 8.
8 o'clock. Okay, 8 o'clock. Yeah. We're going to do a live show. It will be live broadcast at thenextreel.com/live, and of course, it'll be in the podcast feed the next morning. So please join us. We've got the whole crew. We don't have quite the whole crew, right? We're missing Chad,
correct,
this week, but we got Handsome Tom,
Steve and Tom, and
Steve Sarmento,
yeah,
Mike Evans,
Magic Mike,
Magic Mike, Uber Mevins. The great Sarmento, the great and powerful. That's because he's still making
Tommy
fun
Two-Tone.
of me. And Tommy Two-Tone. That's because Sarmento's still making fun of me about my long-term recuperation from my illness. He can be pretty merciless on the Facebook and just digging. He's always digging.
It's awesome.
I wonder if we'll agree.
That's right.
Ounces the Great and Powerful Saturday night. I'm looking for. Did we decide? Are you going to see it 3D?
It's really going to depend on what time works best with my daughter, since I'll be dragging her along, and hopefully she'll like it. But more than likely, since I am dragging her along, it will not be 3D, since she tends to take her glasses off halfway and kind of give up on the whole 3D thing.
I'm like your daughter. I've decided that if I want to actually see if I like a movie, I got to see it 2D, old school.
Well, certainly after The Hobbit, I can see.
That was a downer.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about some trailers. You really are. You're going vintage. Here's our current events trailer segment with Andy.
That's right. That's right. Well, I went to the Sedona International Film Festival this past weekend.
How was that?
It was great. It's a great community. It's a great film festival. I really enjoy the climate up there. Just everything about it is just it reeks of just, comfortable, great film festival.
Reek's kind of a smelly word.
It is. It may not have been the best word to choose, but I'm going with it anyway.
All right. So what did you see? You caught up with some good stuff.
Yeah, I saw 4 really good movies. I saw a couple great documentaries. One was called Go Ganges, which is made by a couple guys. It's kind of a travelogue. They did one a few years ago called Paddle to Seattle, and this is their follow-up where they basically travel the length of the Ganges River in India. And it's kind of a travelogue. It's pretty funny. You learn about the river, and you just have a fun time watching them. I saw another one called Shenandoah, which was about the town of Shenandoah, Pennsylvania, where some high school football players beat up and killed an illegal immigrant, and just kind of everything kind of coming out of that. And then I saw a couple great narrative films. One was called Any Day Now, with Alan Cumming and Garrett Dillahunt as a gay couple in the 70s who decide to adopt this mentally retarded child, and it's just a really interesting look at the nature of what a family is, and particularly how the court system really kind of stops looking at looking at the kid in these situations and focusing on other issues.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great film. But the one I'm particularly wanting to talk about, which is the vintage one, is and actually a 2011 film from Australia called Red Dog, which is already out on Netflix. You can watch it here, but it's still, I guess, I don't think it had any sort of theatrical release over here, so it's still kind of making a festival run out here, even though it is available on Netflix. So definitely watch it. It is streaming. It's called Red Dog, and it's just a great film about this true story about this dog in the 70s that came to live in this rough and tumble kind of mining town. And it became kind of the mascot. It became everybody's best friend, and it really became kind of the thing that tied everything together in this community. And it's just a great story. It's one of those dog films that just you end up at the end of it just crying, because dog films tend to do that. And it's convinced me that we need to do a series called Dog Films That Create Man Tears. I think there's enough of them where we could have a whole series.
Old Yeller, that perky little collie, and yeah.
I think a series may be much, but we should definitely put a list up, because there's a lot of just great films that you just can't watch without crying, because they're just, it's, I don't know, there's something about a dog and the way that it connects with its owner. It just makes for very touching films.
We could do a whole hour on what was it, the Bud Light dog? The Bud Light dog?
Was that his name? Spuds McKenzie.
Spuds McKenzie, that's right. Mm-hmm. Well done.
We're pulling that out of the 80s. So
I will watch this movie. I'm excited that we've got it on the old Netflix. I'm excited to catch up with that.
Yeah, it's a great film. Yeah, a lot of fun. And it's good for the family. It's a nice little family film. Sad family film at the end. Uplifting the rest of the time.
So watch the first 3/4 of it, and then you could just go start slapping yourself. And that would be an alternative ending.
Yeah, exactly.
My trailer is, I don't know, maybe it's predictable. This was kind of a big trailer week, don't you think? I mean, in terms of big, like, updates to the big franchises that are coming. Like, we have the new Iron Man 3 trailer, which was outstanding. Very exciting. I could watch that 1,000 times. New After Earth trailer, which showed a lot more of the Smith, the younger. Jaden, is that his name? Yeah. Jaden Smith. Jaden, what's his name? Jaden. Oh, see, It's Will Smith and Jaden Smith. Yeah, that's both of them. And so you see a lot more of the general environment. It's really great. Updated clip from Into the White. We talked about that trailer before, but the one I'm talking about is The Hangover Part 3. Todd Phillips joining again with Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, Zach Galifianakis, Ken Jeong, and now Heather Graham. It's funny. This surprised me. Did you know it was a trilogy?
Well, I knew they were making a third film. I was a little surprised that they began marketing it as, part 3, like this big trilogy thing.
Yeah.
That really kind of took me by surprise.
That took me by surprise because you didn't like the second one, right?
The second one was a bad retread of the first one.
Okay. See, this is my philosophy on the Hangover movies. And I may be alone. I'm going to go, if I'm not alone, please jump in on the Facebook page. I believe that, I really liked The Hangover. I thought it was hysterical.
Oh, yeah, it's a brilliant film. Brilliant.
And when it was
script, yeah.
Yeah. And when it was over, I thought to myself, I could sit down and watch more of that. And you know what they did? They did exactly that. They gave me more of that. They said, you know what? This is Hangover Part 2. If you liked Hangover Part 1, you will still keep liking it in The Hangover Part 2. We're just going to do it again, and it's going to be funny then, too. And I thought that was funny. And now, just judging by, if you go to the apple.com/trailers and look at the splash image, kind of the hero image they have for Part 3, it is we've got this sort of Rocky V of Zach Galifianakis and Ken Jeong staring each other down over Vegas burning.
It is Harry Potter. You're totally off the mark. It's Harry Potter.
Oh, you're right.
7,
It's Harry Potter Part 7.
Part 7, Part 2.
Part 7, 2 with not Gandalf.
Voldemort.
Oh man,
Harry and Voldemort.
Harry and Voldemort, and I'm sure Gandalf was in the background. He was hiding in the bush. He had a robe. It was a Gandalf. Stop it. Shut it. Anyway, so it looks really funny. It's like the tagline is "It all ends," the epic finale to the Hangover trilogy, which I think, I'm on the record, I think it's brilliant. I think it's going to be funny. The trailer looks great, and I'm excited to see it.
I actually thought the trailer looked wholly new and original compared to the second one.
Totally.
So I was actually excited to see the trailer for this one.
Yep. I'm excited. So in terms of big franchises, that's the one I'm excited about right now. I was excited to see that. It made my day. I was happy about it. There you go.
Nice.
And we had one more that it was kind of a special edition. You wanted to talk a little bit about Joss Whedon's next project. Follow-up. In his epic follow-up to the Avengers, he's doing Shakespeare.
Yeah, I gotta say, I saw somebody posted that on Facebook, and I thought it was a total joke.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. And then I clicked it, and I was like, oh, nope, they're completely serious. He's doing Shakespeare.
Yeah.
He's doing Much Ado About Nothing, and it looks like he's doing kind of a present day telling of it, and it looks like a Shakespeare story set in present day. I gotta say, I have a hard time listening to Shakespeare when they're not dressed in old clothes.
Really?
It's like a weird affectation when I see a modern day person dressed in modern clothes speaking Shakespearean.
And we should be clear.
Click.
We should be clear. This is they are doing the Shakespearean English. Like it's not a modernized. It is.
Oh yeah.
It's taken.
It's the play.
Set today, but it is the play. I mean, it's the.
Absolutely, yeah. It's pretty. I don't know. I'm curious to see how it does. It's a great play. Much Ado is, I think, one of my favorites, and it's been done a good number of times. But it's I don't know. I'm curious to see it. I'm curious to see if it actually does manage to attract a modern audience to it, more so than any other Shakespeare film would. It's not going to draw Avengers numbers.
No. But he's got a little momentum. This is a good time for him to do something like that. It's got his typical, he's got all of his usual cast. folks he's worked with a lot, sort of Nathan Fillion and gang.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it looks great. It's black and white.
It looks like it's black and white with splashes of color, yeah.
With Amy Acker playing Beatrice. I'm excited about it. I think it was a good time. I think it's I like how he shares a writing credit with William Shakespeare on IMDb. It's just nice to see Joss Whedon and William Shakespeare in the writers field. That Alexis Denisov, is pretty much the cast of Angel. That's who it is. Did you ever watch Angel?
I never did. They probably sat around between takes going,
we should totally rock some Shakespeare. That would be so great.
And there they are.
One day, now here's what it is. One day, one of us is going to get famous enough, and you have to bring us all in to rock some Shakespeare. Whoever it is, that's our secret pact. And it happened to be Joss.
That's right.
Yep. So that's awesome. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Coming out this summer.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this movie.
Yes.
So we're doing Dark City.
Yeah, this is the first of our new series.
Our new series of now we called it Original Sci-Fi.
Yes.
Could you talk about what that means?
Well, I think what we were talking about when we were saying, we should do a sci-fi series, we started realizing, like so many things that we picked were tied into franchises or were based on a book or a graphic novel, or it was so popular it spun off all these additional films or graphic novels or books or whatever, or TV shows. And it was hard to find. It's not hard to find, but it became a kind of a challenge for us to find. Let's find some science fiction films that have been made that really are kind of standalone pieces that haven't necessarily been based on things or haven't had things based on them. That's really just kind of a one unit package. And so that's really what this series is all about. Single films of great sci-fi that are their own unique entity.
I think on our film list, the original, at least my original section title for this was science fiction films that aren't Star Trek, Star Wars, etc., etc., etc.
Right, and that kind of inspired us as we kept going. Well, that's kind of tied into this.
Exactly. Yeah, we can kind of simplify. And so we're starting with Dark City. Why are we starting with Dark City?
I don't know if there was a reason. It's just kind of the first one that ended up on our list.
And rightfully so. But I believe this one, you added this one to the list first, and I'm curious why. What is it about this film that you that besides the fact that it is, it's a cult favorite, it's a movie that if you're interested in sci-fi, you are mandated to love on some level by the cult. Why is it that you like it?
This was a film that came out in '98. And I was working as a projectionist at the time, and it was a film that all of us in the projection booth, anytime we'd start up this movie, there were certain points that we knew we had to go check out. We had to go watch through the window and watch these scenes because they were just so fantastically done. It was like eye candy in this really dark way, but when you watch the film, you realize that it's not just eye candy. There's so much more interesting stuff going on in this story. It's this interesting play between, beings and people they're controlling. And it's like, the puppet masters and the puppets, and the puppet is realizing what it is. And I don't know. I just found that there was so much more going on in this story and this vision that Alex Proyas had when he created the film. I always was drawn to right from the first time I watched it, and I've always continued to be drawn to it. And, I don't know. I think it's just one of those imaginings of a future world, potentially a future world. I guess it doesn't even have to be a future world that is unique and is original. And because of all of that, I always find it very exciting.
There's so many little things I latch onto when I hear you talk about it.
I think the first, I don't know, maybe the first 3 or 4 times I watched the movie, it's like it deliberately tricks me and hides from me what the movie is about, because I find myself getting so lost in the look of it, in the feel of it, in this sort of emotional connection that I have with what he does on screen, with the darkness in particular, with the, like, there's this just need to kind of suss out what's going on just behind the light in this film. And I think that for me is kind of a visual metaphor, a visual cue for wanting to eventually really understand, what sort of a painting he's trying to create with the story. And the pacing of the story and the way the clues come out. I mean, in so many ways, it's like an old school kind of whodunit. The way that each of these sort of clues comes out, scene over scene. And we're talking about the 2008 director's cut that came out, so adds an additional 15 minutes, 11 minutes.
11 minutes, yeah.
But changes some things in a way that I think are pretty important. Particularly in the setup of the film, and I think that's a big one for me. Removing the Keifer Sutherland's intro dialogue, I'm not as much of a purist as many, but I find myself getting really frustrated when I introduce this movie to new people, or I had gotten frustrated introducing this movie to people who hadn't seen it, dealing with the intro, monologue that gives away some of the really important pieces that are so fun to experience later in the film once you've sort of earned it.
Absolutely.
In that way, I just feel I feel such a wonderful connect the dots with this film. It is so rewarding by the end when you actually kind of when he sort of pulls back the cover and you see exactly what the story was about. And as you say, at the same time, I think there is such depth in this film, allowing you to really explore the perspective of this city from each of the major characters. From William Hurt's character, Keifer Sutherland's character, Jennifer Connelly, and Rufus Sewell. I think there is so much meat for a discussion around the experience of each of these characters. It's very powerful.
Yeah, and I think they all bring a lot to the table too as their characters. Particularly in this strange world where people essentially are constantly being, I guess you could say, reprogrammed, right? Where they're given new memories time and time again because these strangers want to learn what it is that makes us human. They want to try different memories in different people to see how is it going to make that person react. Will they react based on those memories, or will something from who they are, the soul or whatever it is, keep them from acting on those? And I find it so fascinating watching all of these people play these characters. Particularly, I think Rufus Sewell is great, being kind of this guy who's woken up in the middle of the tuning where he's getting new memories implanted. But I really enjoy watching William Hurt and Jennifer Connelly as these two characters who really always feel lost. They always feel like they've kind of just woken up, and they're trying to, like, they have these memories and they're trying to connect the dots, but nothing is quite there. And like the scene when William Hurt is talking about, and I believe this is one of the added scenes in the director's cut, where they sit in his car and she sees the accordion in the back seat and she's commenting on it, and he talks about
so
how
powerful.
It's great. He
Yeah.
talks about how it was a gift from his mother, and she had died recently and whatever. I can't remember specifically what he says, but then he's like, God, you'd think of all the things I would remember when she gave it to me, but I can't remember. And there's all these little clues throughout as you can just look in their faces. Even when Jennifer Connelly is singing the Sway With Me song or whatever she's singing in the nightclub, her face has this look like, I'm doing this, I can do this, I'm good at this, but I also don't really know why I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost this disconnect that the people have. And I find them so fascinating, and I really enjoy watching them in particular in this film because of the way that they play it. And it really is when you see William Hurt as Inspector Bumstead join in with Rufus Sewell as John Murdoch toward the end, and they're just like pounding with this wall because they both have kind of crossed this line where they have to see Shell Beach. I mean, I'm just right there with them.
Yeah. I want to go back to that scene in the car because I think it illustrates one of the things that is so kind of expertly delivered in this film. It is this sort of sense of emotional double entendre, right? I mean, that scene, as written, could have come straight out of, a standard drama, right? Non-science fiction. It could have come right off the pier at Prince of Tides. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
Like, and it could have had the same kind of emotional meaning for William Hurt to say, who forgets that? Like that you can feel that he is dealing with a serious emotional misgiving, and yet there is this extra layer on top of it that is a very practical sort of, here's the practical science fiction reason why you feel that way. I love that those scenes are delivered over and over and over again in this film, particularly in the first hour and 10 minutes, like before they really start to unravel or reveal, the motivations of the strangers. But I think it gets to, as you say, I think one of the things that's so rewarding about Jennifer Connelly and William Hurt is that Rufus Sewell is, his character, Murdoch, is gifted with the reveal early on because he sort of woke up and he's tracking this down actively. Jennifer Connelly and William Hurt they're just dealing with these, with what's around them. This is the nature-nurture discussion in this movie that is, they are, there's that clip of the rat in the maze, in the circular maze in the beginning, and then you realize the whole movie is the circular maze, and all they have is what they see. They have no other clues that anything else crazy is going on to them. Murdoch is a guy who lost his memory. He's potentially a murderer, and they got to catch him and figure out what's going on. But something just doesn't feel right, and we could feel, you and me walking around in our daily malaise have experienced those feelings of something just doesn't feel right. This is just not right. Who's to say, and this ends up being the philosophical sort of vision of the film, where at least it in part hangs its hat, is who's to say that we're not in some grand experiment? And I think that's what that's one of the major themes that this film really plays well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very just haunting the way that it portrays that. And you brought up the rat in the maze, which I think is a perfect example of looking at it as, in that particular case, we have Dr. Schreiber, Keifer Sutherland's character. He's essentially the puppet master in that particular case, and he's got this rat in the maze. The rat doesn't really, it has to figure its own way out in this little maze that it's stuck in. And Dr. Schreiber can change the walls or do whatever he wants in his little maze. It's exactly the same when you step back and see that all these people are the rats in the maze, and the strangers are the ones who are the puppet masters here.
Well, and especially when they do the pullback, the great reveal of the city at the end, the city floating in space, and you see that it's this giant circular city floating in space. Yes, and
it is exactly a giant rat maze.
It is the rat maze, and it's and the way they orchestrate the tuning, the midnight tunings, and move the buildings around. It's that giant the one of them, the city or the rat, are they're metaphoring one another. Did you catch that? That's got to be new. Some fourth grade English class has done that before.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, okay. So, go ahead.
Well, I just want to continue on that because I there's this interesting little thing. This theologian, Gerard Laughlin, looks at Dark City as an actual retelling of Plato's allegory of the cave,
right? Where
you've got the city inhabitants are the prisoners. They don't realize they're in a prison. John is escaping this cave, and the doctor is helping him learn how everything is working, and that there's actually these shadows that are the puppets, and all this sort of stuff. And it's a fascinating other look at what Proyas and his team are doing with this story, and telling this story that is really creating this world that really, in a way, it has a kind of a mythological feel to it.
Yeah, it really does. There's this. I think when you step into the city and you see you sort of have this. You take in the art and architecture, right? There's the mishmash of the European, of the he plays so much with architecture over time. You end up with just genre mash. It's this sort of sense of you don't really know where you are or when you are at any given time. Not only can no one figure out how to get to Shell Beach, they are deliberately disguising the sort of historical context of this city, and no one but I guess here we are in the context of our protagonist and these other main characters. No one's really asking the question until the foundation starts to shake. Why are things like they are here?
Right.
And what is it that ends up triggering those that sense of needing to ask the question? In the case of Murdoch, it's it's an experiment gone awry. In the case of our William Hurt's character and Jennifer Connelly's character, it's different for each of them.
Right. And it's interesting because the script, as Proyas was originally planning to write it, was focused on Inspector Bumstead. The story was about a detective who was trying to solve a case and kept finding all the facts to solve it, but all of the facts led to a puzzle that he could not put together. It just made it messier and messier. None of the facts actually lined up, and he was going down this road that just was like this, essentially a spiral into chaos. And I think he smartly determined that, flip it around and do it from a person who wakes up at a crime scene as if, he just killed somebody. And I think that puts it in a much more interesting spin. But still, I think it's a great way to look at, how he has all of these characters in this world. And, I think, it comes through for each of them in this way where they're trying to latch on to something.
Well, and I think, to your point, they each have this sort of interrogative role, right? I mean, they each, the role that each of these four primary characters have. Well, and when you think of the of the alien species, the role that they have is to sort of poke at these larger kind of philosophical arguments in their own unique way, and I think that makes the story just very, very rich.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is we discover that all of these tricks are being pulled by the strangers that turn out to be alien jellyfish energy beings that take over the bodies of the dead. And the bodies of the dead become the strangers. They end up, they reanimate the dead. The dead suddenly feel the need to put on black leather robes, and they become the mad scientists over this city.
That's right.
In space. So that's what we end up learning about. And the last act of the film is their universe ends up unraveling a little bit, unraveling a lot as they discover that John Murdoch can actually tune and takes them on mano a mano.
Yeah.
Mano a hando.
It's pretty interesting looking at this film in context for when it came out, because this came out early 98, just a year before The Matrix came out.
Right.
Which had a lot of the similar themes and ideas, and even just
sets.
and sets and tone. Yeah, I mean, there's so much about that
and
film.
leather outfits.
And I'm not saying that the Wachowskis stole from Proyas or anything like that. I'm sure they were knee deep in production by the time this came out, but it does have a lot of similarity, and I find it absolutely fascinating how these two films really have this connection. And I think there was, I don't know if it was just something in the air, something in the water, but there was this fascination for exploring this idea of, what if we are just puppets? What if there is more? And even Men in Black had that whole thing at the end, I mean, that came out.
It did, I think the 13th Floor. Yeah, I don't think you can leave that one out. And right. Of course, I mean, your favorite, Brazil.
Which, jumping a decade earlier, but absolutely.
But you see, I mean, I just feel like there was, and maybe we're sort of off cycle right now, but there is this sense that we had this collective consciousness, a collective awareness of needing to ask these questions. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's this, what if we are cogs? This is another way of expressing the cogs in the machine kind of feeling that we get from time to time.
Yep.
13th Floor was one of my favorites too, I should just add. I
need to watch that again. I know I saw it, but I can't remember a thing about it.
She was so cute. The girl. Can't remember her name now. Oh, she was so cute.
That one girl.
What was her name? That's going to make me crazy. It was Gretchen Mol. Gretchen Mol.
Oh, wow.
That was I think the first time I saw Vincent D'Onofrio. But see, that was 99. So it's right in that same
same year as The Matrix.
Yeah. Armin Mueller-Stahl.
Yeah, I need to watch that again.
Oh, you really do.
Yeah.
All right. So, in terms of the one of the things that just jumps out at me, and I think another reason, I was talking about why I get lost in the movie, is that the visuals, particularly at the time, were in great competition with the story for me. It is the eye candy that you mentioned in the beginning is rich in this film, and I just found myself on the edge of my seat for each time the clock struck midnight, because I knew this city was going to evolve right in front of me, and I had never seen anything like that. Yeah. It was stunning.
It really was mind-boggling, wasn't it? Watching the effects, especially in '98, when it was such top-of-the-line effects. Watching the way that this thing played out, it really knocked my socks off. And that's why, like I said, as working as a projectionist, time and time again, I would go back. Every time I would know exactly, okay, I got to be there at this time, because that's when I'm going to get to see the town or the whole city shift again. So yeah, it's amazing stuff put together by Alex Proyas and his team. George Little and Patrick Tatopoulos were the two production designers on it.
It's I think the mashup between practical effects and CG effects were it was the first time that I felt like, and I think a lot of this is owed to the general darkness of the film. You get away with a lot in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the first film where I found myself like looking at it saying, I can't tell what they're doing here. I mean, I just I get so lost that a building that is just sort of, looks like a sponge as it's coming out of the ground versus, what I know cognitively is a practical, set piece moving in front of it, where I couldn't tell the difference. And I thought, I am totally lost in this experience. It's just beautiful. I think that integration was just perfect.
Yeah, they really did integrate the models well with the CG. And
the stairs at the end when he's, where he's after he's visited his uncle, he's got to run up the stairs, right?
Yeah,
and the stairway gets longer.
Right.
I just, oh man, I've had that nightmare like 1,000 times.
I know, it's like that poltergeist scene when the hallway gets long. It's the exact same thing. It works so well.
Oh, it works so well. Okay, so the film. Let's talk more about the production. What else do you like about that?
Well, it was a like I said, George Little and Patrick Tatopoulos were the production designers, and Darius Wolski was the cinematographer. He shot it. He is a guy who's been around for a long time. Has done a lot of music videos. I mean, Paula Abdul, David Bowie, Neil Young, Sting, Aerosmith, Elton John, lots of stuff. He's done a lot of films too, starting in 1988. Just been doing lots of films. Crimson Tide. He did The Crow with Alex Proyas. That's how he came to be with him on Dark City. And then he's gotten in with the big stuff, like all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He did Sweeney Todd, which we talked about, and he also did Prometheus, which we talked about. So he is a man who's been around.
He has indeed. Eagle Eye, Alice in Wonderland. Eagle Eye was an interesting little romp.
Terrible.
Yeah, what happened there? Like it was that was a state. Wasn't it a state of what was the other one? State of Enemy of the State.
Oh, I liked Enemy of the State.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. There's another pairing.
I always feel bad for Michael Chiklis because every time he's in a movie, I swear it just ends up not being good.
Oh yeah, there's a real connection for you, didn't it?
He's my man.
All right. Okay. So Darius Wolski, we love him. Did a great job. You know what I in particular. Okay. Is this idea of the neo-noir, right?
Yeah, and that's something that we should just hit on. It really has that neo-noir vibe.
Well,
it's kind of
define
sci-fi.
Define what neo-noir is.
Well, noir, film noir, we've talked a little bit about on the show, is, it's a kind of a subgenre style of film that came out in the 30s, 40s, and 50s that they had less money, and so the films ended up being done on the cheap. It just had really gritty scripts, really kind of despicable characters, usually had a femme fatale in there, and because of the lack of money, the sets were often darker because they didn't have money to dress them. But then that became part of the style, is really shady, gritty sets. And so from then on, that noir style has been very popular. And anytime a film is made very shadowy and it kind of has that, there's probably a detective in there and you've kind of got this crime vibe going on, it's often called a neo-noir film.
Is it a gimmick to your according to you?
No.
You think it's legit?
Calling it a neo-noir?
Yeah, is neo-noir just another? Is it? Do we take that serious? It's in Wikipedia. It's got to be serious.
Yeah, no, I take it seriously. I mean, it's been around. It's better than calling it a film noir. I mean, technically, if you're gonna be specific, I mean, film noirs really were just a specific period in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Films after that had that style, kind of. I mean, you can call it a film noir, but really, it's really more of a neo-noir or a post-noir or something like that.
There is this sense of, I think, film noir. We've talked, I think, enough about film noir in our Bogart Houston discussions that we end up with sort of this low key black and white. You have the off angles, high and low, kind of expressionist angles in the cinematography, and in terms of the character makeup is made up of these sort of morally dubious characters. Nobody with a strong good or bad,
right?
Or they're mostly bad. It's kind of shades of darkness. And neo-noir, in the context of this film, we end up with that same, brilliant sense of darkness, which I think is hard to do. I mean, I think it's hard to make a film look as dark as they do in Dark City and still allow you to see it,
right?
And to see what they need you to see when they need you to see it. And there is this, I think, what makes it neo is this awareness of the technology and the science that exist in the world. The fact that there are things that are otherworldly that are playing in the story, affecting these characters beyond their own motivations,
right?
Which is more of a characteristic of film noir. So in any case, I think when you look at Darius Wolski and the intent that sort of the visual intent that they captured, with his camera. I think they succeeded very well.
Yeah, definitely. It really has that vibe the whole way through, and it works really well for the film, especially when you're titling a film called Dark City.
Yeah,
you're gonna need to go there.
Right. Okay, so we love the cinematography. What else do we love about it? We love David Goyer and Lem Dobbs.
Yes, the other two writers on the project that came on and joined Alex Proyas to do it. Lem Dobbs, we just talked about recently. He was doing what was he just doing that we were just talking about? He had been working with Soderbergh. He did Haywire. He didn't do the one we just talked about. Why am I forgetting the name of it? Side Effects.
Side Effects, yeah.
He didn't do Side Effects, but he has worked with Soderbergh for a while with Haywire, The Limey, and then Dark City is one that he wrote back then. And he just brings a lot of nice stuff out in the script. And David S. Goyer, of course, is a big old Hollywood name. Has written lots of big stuff.
Over everything.
He really is all over everything. Absolutely everything.
He's
a lot of good things, like all the recent Nolan Batman films.
Yeah. Batman, Ghost Rider. Did the story for the new Ghost Rider. To bring that one back because the first one was so terrible. He's a Man of Steel, Invisible Man coming up, and Godzilla in 2014, and so he's all the rage right now.
He is. He's a big man.
So this was a writing partnership between Lem Dobbs, David Goyer, and Alex Proyas. Shot in mostly in Australia at the Fox Studios Australia.
Yeah, I think entirely.
All of it, yeah. That's right. Shot all in Australia.
And then you're right. The Matrix, when they came to film in Australia, actually used a lot of their sets.
And I was surprised at just how much I recognized from the Matrix. We just watched the Matrix not long ago, and so it's
that's funny.
It's particularly the rooftop scenes are pretty striking. And I liked the Matrix. I liked the Matrix a lot, and I still was filled with a little bit of shame on you.
So there.
Yeah, I said it. I said it out loud.
Yeah. All right. Trevor Jones did the music. He's a great composer. He's done some good stuff. He's not like in my top echelon of composers, but he has done a lot of stuff that I do like. In the Name of the Father, he did Labyrinth, which is one that I still treasure from my childhood. And Dark City, of course. Notting Hill,
Time Bandits.
13 Days, which is actually, I think, one of his best scores. Yeah, Time Bandits. Lots of great stuff. So
he does,
The Dark Crystal, yeah.
He does Merlin, the TV show, the BBC show. No, that was Merlin. That was from '98. He doesn't do the current one, I guess. That was the old one.
That was the one with Sam.
Yeah, Sam Neill.
Sam Neill. Yeah.
Right. In any case, yes, Trevor Jones. We like him.
The music, I think, is great, and I don't know if it's something that he came up with, or if it was the sound designer team. But the kind of that music sound, whatever it is, when you're having those flashes of memories of
that sort of
Murdoch's
rewind sound.
Yeah, that rewind. I love that. It works so well for me, and I don't know. I always assumed that it was the composer who did it, but it could equally be just the sound people who kind of came up with it. I love it. It works so well, and that's another great effect. The way that those kind of flash and kind of like almost like bubble out from one memory to the next. It's like bubbling out of the middle of one, and they just kind of keep coming. And I just love how fast they are, how you don't need all these details. It's just these little flashes, and it just, I don't know, that's always been a highlight for me of the film.
I totally agree. That's particularly at the end when they sort of begin to overwhelm you, as Murdoch is injected with the collected memories.
Right.
He begins to see them all. That ends up being a very powerful kind of a sequence as he takes over the tuning for Dark City.
Yeah,
and then the visual. I mean, I think that leads to, and we didn't really talk about the finding of Shell Beach, and
Right.
just how well the film earns that for me.
Yeah. Right.
It could. I think, and some have said that well, I guess I should ask you, do you think that given all of the sort of heavy kind of headiness of the philosophical kind of undertones of the film that we get into, and the great sort of noir mystery that is laid out in the first hour and 10 minutes of the film, do you think that the reveal that it's aliens in dead bodies is a weak point in the film?
I've never felt that. Well, but also remember when we first saw the film, I mean, we had that dialogue right up at the top, or the monologue, I should say.
Oh, that's a great point.
Saying, first there was dark, and then there were the strangers. They came. And so it almost set it up like there were these weird aliens that had kind of invaded, or these mysterious people. So, so I don't think I ever really had a problem with it. But it's a story point that I think I would have bought into either way because of the strange nature of the story.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, I'm one of the few, me and Roger Ebert, who totally bought into everything that Alex Proyas did with Knowing. I think that is just a fantastic film, and I know a lot of people don't, but I think it's misjudged, and I think a lot of people hate it because they had a hard time buying this story about, these strangers and all this sort of stuff that was going on, only to find out that they're aliens. And, the story kind of goes off on that tangent in the third act. But, if you're watching the film, it really is setting it up, I think, well for it.
Well, I think there is enough otherworldliness. And to your point, I wasn't thinking about the monologue, and I've been complaining about it for the last 30 minutes. So I probably should have been. But I have so supplanted the director's cut with, I don't even have the original release anymore. And so I don't even associate that with the first time I saw the film. But you're exactly right. They had given up the alien bit, in the first 2 minutes of the film.
Yeah. I mean, they don't specify that they're, well, I get
they
do
really
make it sound alien. You think they're aliens that look like people.
Yes, exactly.
Just the fact that it's like a jellyfish in their head.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like, okay, well, that's the alien then. Yeah.
But I think that actually, sort of the fact that they got rid of the monologue when you see the movie for the first time, you could be, I think, at least I can see where they come from when the critics say, it's a hidden alien film. This is a Saturday afternoon, Sci-Fi Channel romp.
Right.
I haven't gotten that feeling, and I think that's where I get to the final, the reveal of the Dark City floating in space, surrounded by the force field, and when the sun rises for the first time, there is this sort of gut sense of triumph and visual triumph that I feel like you sit through the film for 2 hours and you get that you finally see light. That's a really rewarding trick. As rewarding as it is when he opens the door and is blinded by the sun. I absolutely share that feeling. And I think that's a great win for Proyas, and to kind of elicit that emotional reaction at that point in the film for me.
Absolutely. And then to have, Jennifer Connelly out there now, instead of as Emma, now she's Anna. To have her out there and to have that opportunity for a new connection between the two of them. I mean, it's just, it's
very eternal sunshine. It's that, it's the same feeling, eternal sunshine of the spotless mind that you get when you see these characters that are meant to be together.
That's a really interesting film to compare this with, because it is really about, you're changing people's memories, but still there's something in them that just innately is drawing them in a certain direction.
Absolutely.
And I really like that in this film.
It's
funny because the little scene there at the end also now always reminds me of Requiem for a Dream of Jennifer Connelly out on the boardwalk
Yeah.
with a nice sunny sky. It's the exact same thing. Totally different context.
Totally. That's pretty funny. But it's who knows? Maybe Shell Beach and Coney Island.
Maybe, yeah. It could.
I need to see that movie again. That was.
Yeah, that's one to show the kiddies if they decide to start doing some naughty things. Right. Let me show you where that road takes
that's
you.
Right. Okay, so the movie didn't do well when it first came out.
It didn't. It did really horribly. I guess you could say it was kind of a bomb at the box office.
Yeah.
I think it only did a little better because of the
the follow-up, right? I mean, the Ebert discovery.
Yeah, Ebert really pushed this. I mean, if you look at his review of it, I mean, he's got a glowing review back when it came out. It's a great visionary achievement, a film so original, exciting, it stirred my imagination, all that sort of stuff. And then he went on a number of years later to include it in his what does he call it? His great films list.
Right. And he teaches to it when he teaches teaches film classes.
And I don't know if you remember, but there was what was that thing that came around campus every spring? The big international.
The film festival thing. He came and talked about it.
Yeah, it was it was like a cultural, some sort of hooey thing that he would come and talk, and he would always, over the course of a week, he would show a film the first day, and then he would, day by day, you could sit there in the theater with him, and he would play it and then pause it anytime someone had a question, or he would pause it and point things out. And he did Dark City in '98, just a few months after it had left theaters. And it was really exciting to see. It was clear that he loved it, and it was great hearing him talk about it and just kind of analyze it with him. So, he's definitely been a supporter of this film from the get-go. And really, because of that support and because of the growth that it's had on DVD and other video media since it was released, it really has become a cult classic.
And rightfully so.
Absolutely. Yeah, I see that it cost $27 million to make. And I see that the total budget was $40 million. So, with probably a Princeton advertising budget of $13 million. And then domestically, it grossed only $14.3 million. Internationally, about $12.8 million. So total gross, $27.2 million. So yeah, it definitely was a box office loser. But because of all of the DVD sales and everything else, it's definitely become a little more successful. And I didn't see any figures on how much it has made through DVD sales and everything. But
that would be a really interesting one. This movie was coming off for Proyas. It was coming off of The Crow, which did exceedingly well at the box office.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that it can be tied to the Brandon Lee, the accident. Brandon Lee was killed on set, and how much of that drove people to the movie. I find Dark City a massively, vastly, exceptionally better film than The Crow for me.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I think that's interesting. And then he does Dark City, which is fantastic. And then into what? After this was I, Robot?
Yeah. Ugh,
he did. There was Garage Days that I never saw. But then I, Robot and Knowing. I, Robot, which I love how they describe this now. It's not based on the original book,
right?
The story by.
I think they just said it was inspired.
It was suggested by.
Ugh.
Suggested by Isaac Asimov's short story collection.
It was a very disappointing film.
It was very disappointing, but also exceptionally well at the box office.
Yep.
Nearly 350 million, and then Knowing, the Nicolas Cage weirdness from 2009,
which I
which
love.
also exceptionally good performance at the box office. You love Knowing?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier.
We talked about that? See,
Well,
this is my thing with Knowing. It's like Chinese food. It's like I saw it and I think I liked it, but I have zero memory of it. Like it did not stick.
Well, and the title is unfortunately forgettable, because when I was talking about it, I threw the title out there, and you know, it doesn't even sound like a title of a movie.
No, it doesn't sound like a title of a movie.
So, but yeah, I really like Knowing. I really like what he was doing with it, and the whole relationship of you know, that's what I was saying, is like the aliens come in toward the end. A lot of people are like, oh, that's just where did this come from?
Right.
I think it's set up right from the start. I really enjoy that film.
All right, I'll see that again.
And I know I'm one of the few.
No. I'll see that again. You go do 13th Floor, and I'll do Knowing, and we'll kibitz.
All right, sounds good.
We should rank it. Are we ready to do that?
Yeah, we're ready to. I was just looking through, trying to see if there's any last little things that I wanted to say, but I think we actually. Oh, the one guy that we haven't mentioned is Richard O'Brien.
Oh, Mr. Hand.
Riff Raff from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
And I think it's really funny that Alex Proyas actually had Riff Raff, Richard O'Brien, in mind when he actually wrote the character. And then, lo and behold, he ends up actually being able to cast him. So he kind of had that Riff Raff. He's such a quirky guy, isn't he?
He is so quirky, but so good.
Mm-hmm.
And weird.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Quirky
and weird.
So good.
And then there's Bruce Spence, who I just always recognize him from the Mad Max movies, because he's the pilot.
Oh, of course.
He's one of those
Mr.
faces.
Yeah, gosh, you're right.
Mr. Wall. Yeah,
Mr. Wall.
Yeah,
man. No, that's a good pull. I didn't make that connection at all.
Yeah. And then, of course, Ian Richardson as as Mr. Book, the head of these guys. Yeah, I just think he's just great in that role, and that face-off between the two of them at the end there is just fantastic. And he was in Brazil, so
he was. I love that face-off at the end because after all of the intrigue, it really amounts to two guys staring really intently at each other as the world falls apart around them.
I always end up getting distracted watching that.
Yeah.
Just thinking back to the days of the production when they're shooting. Okay, now imagine there's all this stuff exploding around you, and these energy beams are shooting out of your head. Now just stare at each other really hard. Go.
Totally.
Intense. It had to be the most awkward acting, but
imagine a conical wave of energy protruding from your forehead.
Exactly.
Not so much here or here, but here.
I mean, at least Harry Potter and Voldemort had wands to hold.
Yeah.
These guys just stared. So, all right, let's rank it.
Let's do it.
So, jumping over to Flickchart here, we're going to rank Dark City.
Find us on Flickchart, flickchart.com/thenextreel.
That's right. And we're not going to be ranking the 1950 Dark City. No.
That was a different one. That was very different.
Yes. Dark City or Looper?
Oh, Dark City.
Dark City or Zero Dark 30?
Okay, I would put on Dark City first.
I would put on Dark City first. I still would say the Zero Dark 30 might be a better made film, but Dark City works so well for me with the creativeness that he's doing. So I'll do Dark City too. Dark City or 7? I've got to go 7.
Yeah, I'd do 7.
Dark City or Moneyball?
Oh, this is the cognitive dissonance. Can I hold two great films in my head at the same time?
Unfortunately, you can't. Not on Flickchart. I will go with Dark City.
All right, I'll go with Dark City.
Dark City or The Thing?
Dark City?
Really?
Yeah.
See, I would go The Thing.
Tell me why.
Special effects, it's a classic. It set the stage for all of the great creature effects to come from 80s on.
I think you could say a lot about how Dark City set the stage for so much science fiction to come after it for the next decade.
Well, I agree with you, but the thing was a vision in what Rob Bottin was able to do with the effects and what he did, which is beyond what anyone was thinking that would be acceptable.
You're okay. I feel like we could do this all night.
Well, the point works for both of them.
It really does. That's what I was gonna say. Like okay, ditto.
I know.
So I'm gonna give this to you, but I want you to know that I'll expect payback potentially very shortly.
Oh, not tonight.
That's
Dark
the
City
end?
is number 14. Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm sorry.
Maybe that may come tomorrow night or Saturday night.
That's right. It just might.
I just put a notch on my desk.
Oh,
A notch of Andy owes me ones.
I've got 3 of those on my desk.
Oh, nuts. Oh, man. See, I just thought of something that I wanted to tell you about.
Well, tell me.
No, I forgot it.
Oh.
Well, I actually had 2. One of them, I forgot. This one, I did want to tell you. Can I change the subject?
From Dark City?
Yeah. Are we done? Can we move on?
I think so. I think we've covered it pretty well. Great movie.
It's a great movie. It's if you haven't seen it, you should totally see it because you surely we could not have spoiled it enough.
That's right.
That's right. That you
definitely should have seen it by now.
Movie, yeah. So what I was going to say is, based on our conversation from last year, I started reading the Jack Reacher novels.
Oh,
I'm trying to get ready because the one they did the what is it, the Jack Reacher Tom Cruise movie that's coming. Has it come already? It came and went.
Yeah.
Man, that's
it
sad.
came out in December. It was what was it originally called?
One shot.
One shot. Yeah.
That was the name of the book, at least. That's the 8th book in the series of 700 Jack Reacher novels that Lee Child has written.
Oh, nice.
And I just read the first one, and I wanted to tell you, I love it. I highly recommend it if you're into these sorts of, hard-boiled military cop, procedural books. This is a good one. I'm very excited about a new series to devour.
Oh, good to know.
So I wanted to recommend it because I know you said you hadn't read any of the books. Is that true?
No, That's right. I still haven't. Now I know.
They're very good.
Well, thank you for letting me know.
And the other thing I wanted to tell you is that, Bruce Spence, we're talking about Bruce Spence.
That's right.
Was the voice of Chum in Finding Nemo.
Oh, my goodness. That's fantastic. I didn't know that.
He was the mouth of Sauron in Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Wow.
He was the train man in The Matrix Revolutions.
I knew that.
Okay. He was Tion Medon in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
I have no idea who that is.
He is the only actor to appear in all 3 final films of 3 major trilogies, which seems like a dubious honor at best.
That is really funny.
But that was him.
Oh, he's the tall Jedi guy. Is that it?
He was the local administrator on Utapau.
Okay. I'm picturing him. I can kind of picture him, but I think I'm a little off. But yeah.
Well, he was the guy. So yeah, when Obi-Wan flies into the planet where all of their civilization is in giant holes in the ground, yeah. Right? He's the guy who looks like the rings of a tree. Like he looks like he's got the lines on his head.
Okay.
And he says, he's here. You gotta go. Psst. He's here, and he's got a lot of robots with him. He was that guy.
Gotcha.
He looks kind of, yeah.
So that's Star Wars Episode 3, Lord of the Rings, the third one.
And The Matrix.
The Matrix, the third, and...
What?
The third Mad Max film. I mean, he was in the second and third.
But he was also in the third Mad Max film.
And he was in the third Chronicles of Narnia film.
Oh, well, see, that's not a final.
No, it's not, but it's probably the final movie they're going to make. I don't think it did well enough to keep them going.
Maybe he'll be in the second John Carter.
No, he'll wait for the third.
Be a long wait. Hey, we didn't talk about the big news of the week that George Lucas let it slip in the Bloomberg Business Week article this week that all three of the major first trilogy actors, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill, have signed on to do the J.J. Abrams Episode 7 Star Wars film.
Which is fantastic.
Is it fantastic?
I just love that they're going to be in it.
I do too.
It's just the thing. I think it is fantastic.
I do think okay. I think it's fantastic. I have a great deal of faith in the JJ, in the mystery box.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what he comes up with for this. It's going to be great.
Oh, and I think, did I correctly hear that Sam Mendes is not coming back for the next James Bond movie?
Oh, that I had not heard.
Yeah, I thought I had heard that. I'm going to have to, before I start spouting rumors, make sure. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that I heard that he is not on.
Ooh. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it'll be curious to see who. Yeah, there it is. CNN. He won't direct the next James Bond movie.
Does it say who will?
Nope.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is causing all sorts of speculation,
Yeah.
Everybody
I'll bet it's J.J. Abrams.
Why wouldn't it be?
Star Trek, Star Wars, and James Bond. That's a trifecta.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna go. I think we're done. Are you done?
I am done with you.
So done.
Yes.
I wash my hands. You are dead to me.
I need
until
to go
Saturday.
I need to get another head injection.
You know what you need? You need yes.
Oh.
What?
We didn't. Are we going to say what we're going to do next week?
Sure, go for it. Because I forgot.
Next week we're going to do Sunshine, Danny Boyle's film.
Oh.
Very much looking forward to that.
I love that movie. I thought you didn't like that movie very much. Didn't we talk about this early in the series?
I love it, except I feel like it kind of collapses in the third act.
Yeah.
But everything else is so top notch.
Oh, it's so great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so we got our Oz the Great and Powerful Saturday night, everybody, and Sunshine next week.
Sunshine next week. Stick around.
Sunshine.
Thanks for joining us. I'm stopping the live broadcast. That's it. You people are kicked out. Good night, Andy.
Boom.
We wanted to take a moment to thank you for your continued support over the years. It's hard to believe that we have been having weekly, in-depth discussions about movies since 2011.
That's right, 12 years and counting. Producing this show is a labor of love for us, but it does require a lot of time and effort each week.
If you enjoy our podcast and would love to help keep it going, there are some easy ways you can show your support. One is by using our Originals page to shop for the original source material that movies we've discussed were based on.
That's right. In Season 1 alone, we covered 13 films adapted from books or plays, from Charlie Kaufman's adaptation to David Fincher adaptations like Fight Club.
In Season 2, we covered even more, like Powell and Pressburger's The Red Shoes and The African Queen from our series about legendary cinematographer Jack Cardiff.
We can't forget about the 4 Jason Bourne movies we talked about. Love those movies. Well, the original trilogy, at least.
For our Richard D. Zanuck series, we did Jaws, Rush, Big Fish, and more. And for our horror series, we talked about John Carpenter's The Thing, which was adapted from Who Goes There?
We did our first great car chase series with movies like Bullet, The French Connection, and Drive. And for the holidays, we did Preston Sturgis's Christmas in July.
We had a great John Huston series with adaptations like The Maltese Falcon and The Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
And for our baseball series, Moneyball with Brad Pitt. Have I told you lately how much I love that movie?
Yeah, I think you have. Plus, our Magician series and Heist film series had adaptations as well.
Tons of page-to-screen gems. Listeners can find the details and links to the original material at thenextreel.com/originals. Every book, play, or movie you buy through our links helps support the show, and it's no extra cost to you.
So dive in and get your next read today. thenextreel.com/originals has all the films adapted from other sources that not only we have covered, but all of the shows on the Next Reel family of podcasts. Check it out and get reading.
Support the show and build your reading list. It's a win-win. Head to thenextreel.com/originals.